Well, I'll be back with you in a bit. I come down here to the park. I walk it 3 laps. I just started this a few days ago, and I got to do my laps. It's what keeps me looking fit. Isn't that a joke? There's plaques all over town and in the parks, you know, that kind of describe about Red Wing or what you're seeing. And you know, there's some kids, you know, that don't have much respect for themselves, let alone others, and you know, they got to scratch their marks into everything, even rock formations. So I guess I'm on a rant about that a little bit. Well, it's Saturday. It's April 20th. And I don't know, spring's just not coming to Red Wing this year. We've got a little bit of snow on the ground yet, and trees are still kind of dingy. The grass is brown, and you know, usually we're greening up by now. But hey, I thought I'd go out and about a little bit, and you're welcome to come with me. I'll show you a few things, maybe talk about a little history. Now that was once called the LaGrange Bluff, Mount LaGrange. That's back before Red Wing was even here. Today it's known as Barn Bluff. If you follow the story back in time, it used to be an Indian camp down there where you see town. I don't know, they were out and about doing something, and you know, the fur traders or whoever it was back then came in and kind of booted them out. And time went on, and the town there evolved. It's called Red Wing, and it's named after an Indian chief. Now I could tell you a funny story. I moved into Minnesota in about 1992. I was fascinated by all the history and the country. And eBay came about that time. You know, eBay on the internet, and I started looking at old postcards and started buying postcards, and before you know it, I had a whole collection of things about Goodhue County. If you look at Barn Bluff, right about there used to be what they called the old Indian Head, and it was a rock formation. But you know, they had to put in a new bridge at one time. I think that was back in the 1960s. That's the bridge that's there now. They had to blast around this bluff, and after they had put in the bridge, they decided that the formation was now unsafe, so they had to take it off. That's a shame they couldn't work that bridge around that somehow. I'll see if I can dig up an old postcard and I'll show you. It was a big tourist attraction back then. They even had steps that went up this side of the bluff to the top. Well, here's the barge coming in to get filled. Summer, you'll see barges like this going up and down the river constantly. But those are the bigger barges with, 12 barges in front of a push boat. Well, there's the bluff in the background, Barn Bluff. And this is the bridge that was built in the 1960s that replaced the first bridge. And now it's about ready to fade into the history of Red Wing. Oh, well, before I forget, here's that picture, that postcard of Barn Bluff with the old chief head on it. I just wish they could have figured that out differently, I consider that a natural wonder, natural wonder. And then they put a bridge there and tear that thing down. And you know what? When I think of natural wonders like that, I think that we need to preserve all that kind of stuff. People want to walk in your footsteps to see what you've seen. And I guess that's all I can say about that. I used to go down to a restaurant called Liberty's in town, and I'd sit there, and I'd look up at that bluff trying to figure out why I couldn't find that Indian head. And it wasn't until I went down to the Historical Society and dug through all their papers that I found that it had to be removed, because after they had blasted that bluff to put in the bridge, they figured it was unsafe. Just wish they could have rerouted that bridge. So I would sit at Liberty's and I would look up at that bluff and I'd try to see that old Indian head rock formation. And then I started asking people, hey, where's that Indian head rock formation that's up there on Barn Bluff? And some of the people would say, well, we never even heard of it. And then it finally dawned on me. People that were born after like 1964 or 65, whenever that bridge was built there, they wouldn't know about it. So it's a piece of history they'll never even know about, never even see, never even know it was there. I don't know, sometimes I find that sad. Well, enough of the past. You know, there's thousands of people that still come to Red Wing and go up on that bluff for the views and the hikes and everything. And well, they got something going here. Let's check it out. Friends of the Bluffs. Kind of an interesting thing they have going here today. They've actually got some tours and hikes. People will bring you up to some interesting things. So their idea here is to kind of revamp the trails a little bit so that people can walk on them easier. I guess there's some ruts. They want to take out the ruts, and they're going to redo the parking area down here. You know, the only thing I tend to have in the back of my mind is that you know, the Forest Preserve, Diane and I used to walk down the Forest Preserve trails with Buster all the time, and then they decided they wanted to make it nicer, so they put in a blacktop trail, and you know what, it took the country feeling away from it, and we haven't been on it since. So I just hope that you know, they keep this kind of rustic looking the way it is. I know that they all care about the bluff, and you know, it's on the historic register, so it is protected. And I'm all for trying to make it easier for people to get up there. I just like that rough nature look it has when you're on the trails there. Well, hope you like that. Didn't mean to go off on my rant, but you know, I'm all about preservation. So I'll catch you on our next one. Hey, give us a thumbs up if you like this, and subscribe if you haven't. And if you have subscribed, thanks so much. We really appreciate it. Hey, there's a short look at the kiln. If you're interested in that, I'll put one of our video links in the annotations at the end, because it's in one of our previous videos.